Hi, I'm Alysha, and I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I own a private practice, and I teach other nurse practitioners how to find freedom and balance in their lives by starting private practices as well. Today, we're talking about a big topic. These are big decisions, guys. So likely if you're watching this video, you're in a place where you are ready to pursue your dreams of owning a private practice. You are ready to have more freedom around your time, around your schedule, around your income. And so this is a huge choice when you are deciding between taking insurance or doing a cash-based practice. And honestly, this video could be so long, but I'm going to give the major pointers, pros, cons, and things to think about. So I want to start this video by saying that I own a cash-based practice, so this may lean a little bit more in that direction, but I'm going to try to talk through some of the pros and cons that I was thinking about when I decided to make that choice. Let's start with the pros and cons of choosing to own an insurance-based practice. There are two major pros to owning an insurance-based practice, and one of those is access. There is going to be a very large amount of people in the US that have insurance and are wanting to use insurance for their medical needs. And the other pro is going to be that you will have a steady stream of referrals and you will likely fill quite fast. And so though you will have to do some marketing, the marketing part will be a little bit simpler when you open an insurance-based practice because you have that whole insurance entity. I don't know what to call it. You have a large referral system, and that is the insurance that you take. Now let's talk about the cons. So many of you that work in insurance-based practices already know a lot of the cons, and that is probably some of the reason why you are considering going solo. So some of the cons of owning an insurance-based practice is that it can be a massive headache to try to adhere to a lot of the restrictions that they have. So restrictions on how much time you can spend on a patient, prior authorizations, things that they need extra in the notes. There can just be it can be a huge headache and a huge administrative burden, and so likely you are going to need to hire help quite quickly to be able to meet the demands of the taking insurance. And then the big one, pay. So a lot of insurances are typically underpaying, which pushes practitioners to have to see more people in an hour than they would say if they were setting their own rates and times. So and then you run into the issue of sometimes they will not pay you, or they'll not reimburse you for something that you thought they would, or they would be paying very, very late. And so this can be really challenging in the arena of being paid, but it's kind of a toss-up because you are going to get many patients and many visits, but then getting paid for those visits can be challenging. So these are some of the cons of taking insurance. How I conceptualize the person that might take insurance would be someone that wants to see a very specific population. Say, for example, one person in my mentorship program, she sees first responders, and so she decided strategically to take the insurance that insures most of the firefighters in her area. And so that was a good balance of meeting the needs of the patients that she wants to see and expanding care and accessibility. So that might be the type of person that will want to take insurance. Another type of person that might want to take insurance is someone that's maybe taken insurance in a prior job or has familiar with billing and is familiar with billing and coding, and so they feel comfortable jumping into managing that together with an assistant or on their own in the beginning. And so that may be a person that is ready to start an insurance-based practice. Let's hop into the pros and cons of starting a cash-based practice. This is likely someone that wants to have full control over their schedule, over their pay. You can set your rate and charge what you're worth and be able to decide how much time you want to spend with patients. Do you want to spend 15 minutes? Do you want to spend 30 minutes? Do you want to do 60-minute psychotherapy visits? You really can choose whatever you want to do in a cash-based practice as far as how much time you spend and what services you offer and how you offer them and how you chart. You want your charting to, of course, stand up in court and have all the things that it needs to have, but it won't be dictated by insurance. So again, this would be someone that wants a lot of clinical autonomy and full control over their schedule, pay, and how they provide care to their patients. The major con in private pay is one that many people know, right? If this is probably what's holding you back if you're in this dilemma, and that is that not everyone can afford out-of-pocket expenses. And so you may consider down the line, once your cash pay practice is established, that you may want to make some policies around sliding scale or policies around pro bono work. And of course, work with your lawyer, and you have to have a standard for all of your patients, and everyone needs to know what your policy is. But it can be done, and that can certainly be a way to give back. But that is a major con, that not everybody is going to be able to have access to your services. This can be challenging because on one hand, it can be very, very good that you can niche down and see a very specific type of concern and be highly specialized in what you do, and people will seek you out and maybe choose to go out of network for your services based on that. But not everyone will want to go out of network for your services, and so you may miss out or may be bummed that you can't see people that want to see you. And so this is the major con of cash pay. When you're making this decision, I want to give you a couple of pointers that you can work through to decide which may be good for you. One is going to be your practice goals and values, and this is going to be something that you're going to want to establish early on. What do you value in your practice? What do you want your practice to be all about? Who do you want to see in your practice? And in my group mentorship program, there's a link below where you can apply and learn more. But my group mentorship program, I work through this with my mentees on how to decide some of these things. But long story short, you're going to want to decide who you see, how you're going to help them, etc. And there's lots of work that can be done around deciding that. However, once you have decided that, you are going to want to think about what their insurance coverage habits are, and you're going to want to think about how you want to help them and what that would look like. Can that be done in an insurance model? Would it be better done in a cash-based model? So the services you want to provide, who you want to provide them to, insurance coverage habits, and kind of take a look at all of that together when you're deciding. The next one is going to be financial considerations, and that is, for example, how much is your overhead? If you are in a more restrictive state, you may be paying for physician supervision and collaboration, which might make your overhead a little bit more. And so you're looking at your overall finances, how much it's going to be to upkeep the practice, how much it's going to be to start the practice. And so you want to really think about how much it's going to cost to run the practice, and then how many patients you might need to see to make an income that matches your worth and cover your overhead, and then take a look at if that would be way too many patients for you to handle to be able to cover all of those things, or if it would be, there's a little bit more flexibility in cash pay, so you can kind of set those things. However, you may be also talking to insurance companies and trying to figure out, what's the reimbursement rates that they can offer you, how many patients would you need to see in a week, setting your budget, things like that. And so you're honestly going to want to take a look at your overall financial need, capabilities, and so that is going to be what will help you determine if you want to be a cash-based practice versus an insurance-based practice. Another one that you're going to want to consider is administrative effort and resources. So from my experience of mentoring several nurse practitioners on starting private practices is that an insurance-based practice is going to need administrative support much earlier than a cash-based practice will. Insurance-based practices need usually a lot of admin help to meet the needs of insurance, and so you're going to want to think about your admin needs and your reimbursement rates and compare that to a cash-based practice where you may not have as many administrative needs up front and you're able to set your rates, but you may be filling slower in a cash-based practice. So these are considerations of when and how you may need administrative support that may contribute to your overall decision. Another consideration is going to be taking a look at market analysis. So you're going to want to look at the area that you're wanting to start your private practice in, and you're going to want to consider, does that market support the practice that I'm trying to build? So if you want to take a certain insurance because it has great reimbursement rates, but there's not really very many employers in the area that offer that insurance, that may be something to consider. You may consider general employers in the area of patients you may want to see and take a look at what insurances they offer and look at those reimbursement rates. So do some market analysis on the insurance side, or you can also do some market analysis on the cash-based side, and you can consider, would the market support a cash-based practice? And an easy way, honestly, to figure that out is if there's other cash-based practices in the area. If there's cash-based practices in the area, that likely means that the need is there. People usually will get worried about things like oversaturation or there's other people doing exactly what I'm doing, but what that just means is that there is a need. And so that's a good thing. For example, if you live in an area where there's not a lot of cash-based practices, maybe it's a rural area, maybe not, you're going to want to also look at other areas in your state. Maybe you want to consider opening a private practice in a city that's in your same state, so you're still licensed to practice there, but offer telehealth, but set up an office in somewhere that's a little bit further from you so that you can do marketing around that area because that area can support a cash-based practice. So lots and lots of considerations in marketing. Last consideration is going to be networking and referrals. So when you are networking and trying to build a referral system for people to refer to your practice, an insurance-based practice is going to fill a whole lot faster than a cash-based practice. And so this may be also a consideration in how much marketing you want to do. It will be less of a marketing burden if you open if you open an insurance-based practice, there's going to be less marketing needs. However, if you open a cash-based practice, you can fill slow and you can fill with patients that you really want to see, kind of like your ideal client. And so when you are deciding between these two, you may really want to consider how much networking and how much of a referral system you want to build. Cash-based practices usually do much better when you are building out a referral network of word of mouth. And so you're going to need to put a little bit more effort in that. Honestly, I think it is 1,000% worth it. But this is something to consider when you're thinking about marketing and networking, and insurance is just going to be a lot easier on that front. When you are thinking about all of these things, who's my ideal patient? How do I network? How do I build a referral network that's word of mouth? How do I, honestly, there can just be endless videos on marketing alone and deciding your niche alone. And so I want to encourage you that there is support out there, and I am happy to offer a full mentorship program on private practice starting for psych nurse practitioners. And so I would love to have you in there and support your new practice. I help psych NPs all across the US build practices. That has lots of videos on step-by-step private practice building, and there is a live component. There is group Q&A calls every other week. And there is a community forum where you can post anytime, write to other members, write to me for support. And the best part is that there is lifetime access. So once you pay, you are in our community, you are a part of our group. And so I encourage you, if this is something that's interesting to you, to take a look at the link below. And that is going to have a link to my masterclass, as well as the application to apply for my program. And I would love to meet you and have you and help you build your private practice. And so until next time, good luck and happy practice building. Bye.